Next bill on line is 5178 by Representative Bennett. Representative Bennett, the floor is all yours.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, Madam Chair, would it be okay if I did 5178 and 5179 together? Because what I got to say is pretty
So what you think, this is
the
a
same.
party, Representative?
Yeah.
Absolutely, you most certainly can.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. This bill here, 5178 and 5179, is an act relating to labor and labor relations. Continues all provisions expired firefighters collective bargaining agreements until a successor agreement is reached between the parties or an interest arbitration award is rendered. This also applies to the police. I have witnesses that will give you a more detailed description of the bill. I would just like to say that these are very dangerous jobs, firemen and policemen. And when they come to a time for bargaining and they don't reach an agreement, then they have to work without a contract. What this bill will do is continue that contract. They should not have to be worried about, oh, gee, if I get killed, is my union going to take care of my family? Or if I get hurt real bad because I'm not under contract. I would say you'd hope that they would take care of the officer or the firefighter. But all it does is continue the contract until another agreement is made, a new contract. And that's about it on my part. I'll take any questions.
Are there any questions?
No.
Hearing none. So that concludes just the presentation from Representative Bennett, but we have to go back, and I ask your indulgence, please, because the previous two callers called back. So I wanted to go back to Representative Vella Wilkinson's 5262. Okay, Representative Bennett? Okay.
I was muted again, Madam Chairwoman. That's fine with me.
Okay.
Whatever you feel is correct.
Thank you. On the line, we have Mr. Brian Daniels for 5178, 5179, Representative Bennett's bill. Mr. Daniels, you're on.
Yes.
Floor is all
Thank
yours.
you. Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Brian Daniels. I'm the Executive Director of the Rhode Island League of Cities and Towns, and for the new committee members, that is an organization representing all 39 cities and towns. We do legislative advocacy for our members to the General Assembly. This is the first time appearing before your committee virtually this year. I want to start off on a positive note, and want to express our appreciation for the work of firefighters and police officers and EMS personnel in the last year. I think it's really important to point out how hard everyone has been working in COVID, making sure that everyone is safe, and I want to make sure that everyone knows that the League and our members have been very supportive of public safety personnel, making sure that they have public PPE, make sure they have access to data of COVID cases in their communities for first responder calls, and also making sure that people get vaccinated, fire and EMS get vaccinated for these clinics. Paul Valletta and I have worked very closely in the last year on a number of these issues. So I know the chair and others like to know that we do work together, so I just want to make that clear. However, today I do want to combine my testimony on 5178, 5179. The League and our members are opposed to contract continuation legislation, as you've heard me say in the past. The main concern is that it would limit the ability of municipal officials to have control over their contract negotiations and their budgets, and that would ultimately lead to higher property taxes. Also, just by way of background, I think many people are aware a contract continuation bill for municipal employees and teachers passed in 2017 that was vetoed in 2019. A similar bill passed and was enacted into law. That is now being challenged by a number of communities in court over constitutional provisions. In December of 2020, Judge McGurl ruled against the state's motion to dismiss, and we now have 19 communities representing 60% of the state's population who are on that case. So purely from a litigation standpoint, we don't think it's advisable to be expanding the contract continuation law while that legislation is ongoing. But from a policy perspective, I'll just reiterate some of the points I've made in the past. Essentially, we think that the deadline of a contract is important to encourage negotiations. Now, in many cases, people do not complete their negotiations by the deadline, and the general practice is that both parties come together and they agree to a temporary extension. Now, Chairman Bennett, when he described the bill, explained a situation that's very concerning. You don't want to have a situation where a contract expires, particularly for firefighters or police officers, where you may have personal protection or equipment information or requirements in the contract. And for that reason, we worked with the Providence Firefighters Union in 2017 to pass a law that allows a temporary extension of contracts if both sides agree. We think that's the right approach. We do not like an indefinite automatic extension of the contract deadline. And the reason this is so important is that personnel costs are the largest expenditure in municipal budgets. They make up 70% of municipal budgets, teachers being the largest group and public safety being the second largest group in personnel costs. And those personnel costs are driven by contract. That's salary, that's benefits, that is pension contributions for the locally administered plans and any type of retiree health programs. So there has to be a lot of flexibility in making sure that you can negotiate in the best interest of taxpayers. So that's the concern that we have. And I know that I saw Paul Valletta's testimony. He's going to point out the fact that you can't indefinitely extend these because it goes into the binding arbitration process. He's absolutely correct, but I don't think that is something that our members would like. The binding arbitration process is long, it's onerous, it's expensive, and our members would say that it disproportionately benefits employees at the expense of taxpayers, so we shouldn't be pushing more cases into binding arbitration. So those are the key points. I'm happy to answer any questions. We really think that this is not the right time for this. See how the lawsuit plays out, and then we can have a broader conversation. Thank you.
So, Mr. Daniels, are you speaking for Mr. Valletta?
No, but he and I know each other so well that we're going to anticipate each other's talking points.
Well, I hope he's listening. Okay, are there any questions? Thank you very much, Mr. Daniels.
Great. Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
So that concludes the hearing for 5178 and 5179.